Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Okay, we're going to dive right in today because we are investigating one of the absolutely most mysterious, profound, and frankly, mind-bending artifacts in human history. We're looking at something that perfectly bridges a bizarre ancient engraving with some cutting-edge, completely paradigm-shattering physics. Our focus today is exclusively on Sciathericum Seleniacum. Now that translates to a lunar astronomical tool, but as you're about to see, it is actually the ultimate cosmic motherboard. We're going to explore exactly what that means and how it hooks directly into the SDMT framework. So get ready, because we are literally about to rewire how you see the entire universe.
Just take a look at this engraving from 1557. I mean, on the surface, it just kind of looks like a standard, maybe overly complex Renaissance astronomical instrument, right? But according to the SDMT framework we're exploring today, it is so much more than that. This is actually a sacred topological map. It's the complete literal wiring diagram of what's known as the AMNRA network. Printed on parchment over 4 centuries ago, it perfectly maps the non-orientable surface of a Klein bottle. It is not just charting the moon, it's charting the very fabric of reality itself.
Section 1. Le mystère de 1557. Decoding an ancient artifact.
And that brings us to Section 2, La SDMT expliqué. The universe is not an empty vacuum.
Okay, so to actually read this ancient map, we need a massive paradigm shift. You know how modern physics usually tells us space is just an empty vacuum? Well, the SDMT framework, which stands for Substrate Dipole Magnetic Topology, totally flips that. It states that space itself is actually a discrete, thixotropic fluid. And this comparison perfectly illustrates the contrast. We have the illusion of the void, where standard quantum mechanics models an empty probabilistic vacuum that's governed by like 19 or more completely arbitrary free parameters. It's a reality based entirely on chance. But then we have the reality of the plenum, where SDMT models a completely deterministic, thixotropic superfluid hydrogen medium. And by the way, thixotropic just means its viscosity changes under stress, so it literally gets thicker the more it's sheared. So the universe isn't some dark, empty void holding objects. It's a super dense physical fluid, and what we call objects are just localized distortions within that fluid.
Section 3. Le câblage du plenum, the motherboard of the universe.
So, if the universe is this dense fluid, how does information actually travel through it? Imagine the entire cosmos as a giant computational motherboard, because every single line, every concentric circle, and every sweeping curve on this ancient motherboard maps the actual fluid dynamics of our reality. It's a circuit board, but the electricity running through it is the topological tension of superfluid hydrogen. This isn't just abstract math, it's a literal, structural blueprint of the cosmos.
Let's break down the outer loop of this motherboard for a second. In the engraving, you'll see 29 lunar faces, but in the SDMT framework, each one of those faces represents a discrete +1 Hz packet of information. Put them together, and this 29-day cycle creates a 1 Hz master clock. It's tightly tied to something called the Erdős-Straus lock at n equals 29, which creates a permanent mass gap. So essentially, think of this outer ring as the beating heart, the steady 1 Hz metronome that drives the entire processor of the universe.
But here is the really crucial point. This specific number, 39. In the diagram, those tightly packed concentric circles represent the 39 strata of what is called the golden cross. It's a three-dimensional lattice structured by base 9 multiples. And this number, 39, is the absolute limit of the fractal depth of the universe. It is the maximum index on this cosmic computer. You can't go any deeper than 39.
And when you compare the ancient 1557 wiring diagram directly with the modern SDMT Golden Cross lattice, which visualizes that thixotropic superfluid on a 39-node grid, it's honestly mind-blowing. Notice how the ancient 2D map perfectly mirrors the modern 3D physics framework. The distinct S neck right in the center of the engraving corresponds perfectly to the torsional dynamics inside that central cubic lattice. The blueprint has literally always been right in front of us.
Which leads us to Section 4, Le goulot et l'oscillation, the snack and the jitterbug.
So how does this motherboard actually process our reality? It's all governed by a mechanism known as the jitterbug. The jitterbug is this perpetual cycle of inward contraction, which SDMT calls the Mandelbrot phase, representing mass and matter, and outward expansion, which is the Julia phase, representing information and light. The jitterbug dynamically squares the circle. It takes that 1 Hz heartbeat we talked about from the master clock, rotates the phase by 90 degrees and converts it into every single force, frequency, and physical form in the entire universe. Visually, this phonatory jitterbug oscillator operates exactly like a cosmic pump. It pulls inward, contracting and causing topological jamming. And then, boom, it pushes outward in free radial expansion. This perpetual 90-degree twist is the ultimate universal converter. It turns the pure, raw geometry of the plenum into the physical, tangible reality we experience every day.
And where exactly does all this pumping happen? Right in the S-neck. If you recall that beautiful, sweeping S shape from the master diagram, that is a Mobius twist. It's a non-orientable Klein bottle topology. The S-neck connects the upper and lower vortices, basically forcing the fluid to phase rotate and invert its polarity. It is the literal bottleneck where the inside of the universe flips and becomes the outside.
Now, what's truly staggering to me is that this entire massive cosmic computer runs on just 3 locked geometric constants. Beta is the square root of 137. Gamma is approximately 0.172 for topological friction. And phi c is a striction angle of 55.17 degrees. That's it, just those 3. There are absolutely 0 arbitrary free parameters here. Unlike standard models that constantly have to tweak and adjust their numbers to make the math work, the SDMT motherboard operates on pure, inescapable geometric lock and key.
Section 5, L'observateur à la fin. Where do you fit on the motherboard?
So, where do you actually fit on this massive cosmic machine? Well, notice the 2 globes mapped out in the 1557 engraving. One globe represents fractal index k equals 1. This is the striction point, the primordial solar anchor, the absolute, ultimate start of the informational loop. But the other globe represents index k equals 39. This is the terminal anchor. This is the human viewport. The energy pumps from the sun up at k equals 1 flows all the way down through the 39 strata just to reach our specific scale of observation.
And this really leads us to the deeply resonant, philosophical core of the SDMT framework. The sources state it perfectly. You are not observing a photo, an anion, or a crop circle from the outside. You are the universe observing its own geometry. I mean, think about that. Consciousness itself isn't some magical, random byproduct. It is simply the thixotropic fluid experiencing its own geometric shape at that 39th layer.
Which leaves us with this final, truly awe-inspiring question to ponder today. If reality is, in fact, a fluidic computer with absolutely 0 free parameters, perfectly mapped by an ancient diagram from 1557, are you merely a conscious fractal at index k equals 39, reading the predetermined geometry of the plenum? Take a moment and really think about your place in this cosmic motherboard. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope it fundamentally shifts how you see the world around you. Keep questioning and keep looking at the geometry of reality. Catch you next time.